Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to offer dana, then please do go to justthiszen.org/giving. Your support really does make a huge difference. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Although I might not like getting up that much early in the morning, one of the things that I have greatly enjoyed over the years is I can hear the school. We have a little primary school um, just down the road from us, and there's something so familiar about the sound of the children. And we've lived here for 37 years or something, I think, and those little children that I would have heard all that time ago are now not little children, but there's something about the tenor of the noise that doesn't change. Um, the sound, and I'm sure they're playing different games and doing different things, but there's something about it that I find really touching. All these little children playing every morning, all those lives unfolding. And and today I wanted to talk about something that we kind of make reference to a lot, but I'm kind of wanting to explore, apparently along with the cat, um, this idea of, there he goes, um, of bodhicitta. Um, and Dogen wrote, "That which we are seeking causes us to seek. That which we are seeking causes us to seek." And often you may have heard one. We within our community we offer something called individuals will offer something called a way-seeking mind talk, and you may have listened to a way-seeking mind talk. And a way-seeking mind talk is an autobiographical account of a student's journey into their practice, and how did they arrive at this place at this time. And at the heart of this idea is the idea of our way-seeking minds. Our way-seeking minds are what we all have within us, bodhicitta. So that which we are seeking causes us to seek. And in a way, that's also a deep reference to the backward step that Dogen invites us to do. That which we're seeking is what's causing us to seek. Kjorgen Carlson said bodhicitta is a natural arising innate in us. We are born to become Buddhas. It's a natural arising, it's innate in us. And other teachers have talked about what Dogen called arousing the way-seeking mind. And that's the bodhicitta. It means the heart or the mind that seeks the way, the heart of the bodhisattva. So bodhicitta is not something we acquire. It's not something we make happen. In some ways, it's not even something we have anything to do with. It sort of does, and it sort of doesn't. But it's the seeds yearning towards the light in the dark. And I plant a lot of bulbs in the autumn, and it's a really good idea to put the bulb in the right way. But my understanding is that they'll grow their roots and they'll actually orientate themselves, even if you have inadvertently put them in the wrong way. They actually find a way to root. Kjorgen Carlson said more fully, the aspiration arises in prisons, in concentration camps, and amid the worst degradation. When people take a look at their lives and the world around them and say there's got to be something more than this, then they're ready. We listened to a beautiful talk last night by Earthlyn Manuel Zenjua, and she was saying the medicine is the darkness. The darkness is the medicine. It's like when we're in the place where we're saying there's got to be something more, then that's when we're really ready to awaken this way-seeking mind. Or we're not ready, way-seeking mind awakens. So Carlson goes on to say they're ready to go down to that place beneath appearances and the superficial aspects of life, and there they find the seeds of Bodhi. We cannot predict it, we cannot manipulate it. When conditions ripen, the seeds will sprout. It's a natural arising innate in us. We're born to become Buddhas. And when I was teaching person-centered counselling, one of the kind of key stories was the idea that Carl Rogers, who kind of developed person-centered counselling, had his own awakening moment when he went into a root cellar, which I think they have a lot of in certain American places. And in this dark cellar without light, he saw some potatoes, and the potatoes were sending out those little thin tendrils. You know, it's like even with no soil around them, in the darkness, these potatoes were doing their very potatoey best to sprout, to thrive, you know, to do what they were made to do. He called this evidence of the actualizing tendency, the innate tendency of all living things to become what they have the potential to become. And that, as a therapist, that's what I kind of feel like I've seen over the years, over and over and over. I felt so fortunate that my work has allowed me to be with people to see what in those days I might have called actualizing tendency, or might call bodhicitta, with grace and courage and determination. You know, no matter the start, no matter how difficult or shaky the start, or how many traumas are in their history, people still wanting to fulfill some potential, and even if they don't know what it looks like. And quite often in therapy, there's a lot of disassembling of the notion of what it should look like to the notion of becoming who they actually are, not the shoulds or the could have versions, but the lost ones, just who they actually are. This person now, with everything they bring. And this yearning is necessary. The sense of wrongness or lack, or that something is missing, is our true mind calling to us. And I've loved for a long time, and have used it quite often, the poem Love Dogs by Rumi, because it speaks to this so precisely. And I'm sure you've all heard it before, but it, like all good things, it bears repeating. One night a man was crying, Allah, Allah, and his lips grew sweet with the praising, until a cynic said, so I've heard you calling out, but have you ever gotten a response? The man had no answer for that. He quit praying and fell into a confused sleep. He dreamed he saw Kadir, the guide of souls, in thick green foliage. Why did you stop praising? Oh, because I never heard anything back. The longing you express is the return message. The grief you cry out from draws you towards union. Your pure sadness that wants to help is the secret cup. Listen to the moan of a dog for its master. That whining is the connection. There are love dogs no one knows the name of. Give your life to be one of them. The pure sadness that wants help is the secret cup. The grief you cry out from draws you towards union. This giving your life to be one of them is our bodhicitta awakening, and it's the steadfastness of our seeking that's the activity of bodhicitta. And so we can also realize that it isn't about us, our small selves, our egos or intelligence, or reading the right things or listening to the right podcast, or it's actually just about opening to what wants to happen. And all those things are really fine and good. Studying is such an important part of our practice. But it's opening what wants to happen in the innate blossoming of bodhicitta, our Buddha nature. And of course, for all of us, it's tricky not to make it about us, not to make it about having comparing mind, better or worse student, more or less enlightened. And finding ways just to be grateful that we have the seeking that's arisen in us, rather than feeling proud about it or judgmental of others who don't yet experience. We had nothing to do with the seed being present, and little or nothing to do with most of the conditions that led it to sprouting. Many people find themselves in therapy not out of a good place, out of darkness and loss and depression and fear. And we find ourselves in these places in our seeking out of this darkness. Something comes. And when I was thinking about this talk, I thought about my kind of constant search for something that's really ordinary and mundane. I was thinking how it manifests in my life, and I love my morning shower, and I love having choices, and I love particular smells. And these longings all come together in searching for something that is really elusive and particular. I have what I've learned to call smell noise. The way that some other people have food noise, drink noise, sex noise, clothes noise, I don't know, different kind of noise. That thing where something is occupying you and you're kind of searching for particular flavors or sensations. I have that with smells. And I noticed recently how the more dysregulated or kind of jangly, unsatisfied I'm feeling, the more I'm drawn to looking at products, and I read through the fragrance notes. Like they're trying to settle something, and then I kind of like, oh, maybe that one, and then I might buy it, and I'm like, nah. It's like it doesn't quite do something. And I did once find a soap that did it. It did it all. The quality of the lather and the fragrance and everything. And then they went out of business. So it's like, okay, impermanence in action. And I was really interesting to think of this searching both as an activity of my nervous system. Clearly it's about some kind of regulation, it's about some kind of settling. But then I've been thinking about it as also like bodhicitta, this yearning for something that settles, this deep connection when separateness falls away. And of course, if I seek it outside, if I'm trying to satisfy my smell noise, it just keeps resurfacing, because it's the wrong step. It's the outward step. But if I see it as the seeking for the inward step, for that backward step, for seeking what's already in me, then even just that thought settles something inside of me. And I was really curious about, if you were asked to give a way seeking mind talk, like right now, don't prepare one, just give it now. What would you think about? What memories of that kind of essential dissatisfaction emerging, of the feeling that there might be something more, or of the moments when your separateness fell away? What would you recall? What would come to your mind that would be in some ways this awakening of bodhicitta? And in my way seeking mind talk, which I gave quite some years ago now, I recounted that my very first memory of thinking that there was something greater than me was sitting in assembly as, I don't know, I imagine I'm about 6. I'm very little. And I'm staring up at this huge window that we had in our hall. It was high up, it wasn't a window out on, you had to look up at this window. And I was sitting there looking at the size of this window, and I was trying to figure out at 6 whether it would be the size of one of God's eyelashes. Now, I have no idea why I came up with this particular measurement. I'm assuming it's to do with size, like, if the window, this giant window in my little 6-year-old mind is the size of one of God's eyelashes, which is maybe the smallest measurement I can think of on a human at that point. I'm trying to find the size of something. I'm trying to relate to something, and obviously at 6, and it's going to be something, framed in terms of, a male god, a figure, an actual person. But I can feel this repeated longing, this longing for the size of something, or something actually immeasurable, ineffable. It's why I read The Lord of the Rings. It's why I stood on the foreshore in Southport looking out for the elven boats that would carry me away. And I can see that this longing wasn't just romanticism or naivety, but a deep expression of bodhicitta. There is more to life than these temporary trials and tribulations. There's a deep inner knowing. And to see the whining of the love dogs as the response we're searching for. And we chant endlessly this inviting of the awakening of bodhicitta. And we said just earlier, we take refuge in Buddha before all being, immersing body and mind deeply in the way, awakening true mind. True mind is the seed that's always there. Thomas Merton said, the desire to please God pleases God. It's the same thing. The desire to please pleases. The longing to awaken is the expression of our awakened nature, not a failure. Just sitting here, putting yourself in the way of practice, is, as Joan Sutherland says, making yourself fetchable. We make ourselves fetchable. We make ourselves have the capacity to sit here with awakening true mind. It's what Shakyamuni Buddha saw all those years ago. All living beings suffer through their intimacy with suffering, and the suffering is the door. Impermanence is the door. Some years ago I wrote a poem called Not Squirrels, and I was thinking of that as I was thinking about this talk. And I was thinking that at the time of writing it, I was kind of thinking of it as playing out my childhood conditioning, and kind of like I'm curious now as to thinking of it as an expression, as this seeking, awakening true mind. And the poem is, we sit in silence facing a glass wall, opening to the world inside and out. Just once, while I was sitting there, I watched enthralled as squirrels chased each other round and around the trees outside. Sometimes now when I'm sitting, I can see that I'm not looking at this world as it is, but at a world of not squirrels. Oh, how sad to miss the elegant and busy activity of the blue tits, blackbirds and jays, even the nuthatch, or the gracious ordinary generosity of the larches, the mountains and the mutable sky, unable to meet them because they're not squirrels. When I was born, to my parents' dismay, I was not a boy. The eyes that looked at me, that could be kind and loving, also saw me as something I could not essentially be, not a boy. So I learned to see the world through the prism of notness, polishing the lens of seeing what was not there, looking for what is not there, indeed could not be there. Sitting now and looking, I can meet how my life has been pervaded and predicated on, not squirrels. Today I tenderly turn to what is actually here, and though there are no squirrels, there is simply the perfectly imperfect unfolding world. So I'm curious about what squirrels, what squirrels are you searching for? You know, what do you endlessly look for? That means that you don't see what's actually there. What's the longing that you could turn towards and cherish? I read this recently by the Venerable Bhikkhu Panakara, who's the leader of the 19 monks who are walking 2,300 miles across America as an offering and a meditation on peace. They go out quite, I don't know if you've seen any videos of them. It is not kinhin. They are moving at a hell of a lick. Oh, you see people at the back sort of running to keep up with them. It's wonderful. But he said this: may our walk bring you blessings, not as gifts from the outside, but as a gentle awakening of the sun that's always lived within you. This light has been shining quietly, patiently, waiting for you to come home to your own heart. May you finally see this golden treasure you've been carrying all along, and may you embrace it with the tenderness it deserves, letting its warmth radiate through every part of your being, just like the morning sun. The morning sun is bodhicitta, the seed we all carry. And Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, this sitting is what supports all the conditions that allow bodhicitta to flower. So as we all sit here with our longings, whatever they are, what's it like to turn towards them as actually the source of our bodhicitta, the source of our Buddhahood, the source of being a bodhisattva, the longing as the medicine. Thank you.